Thanks very much, Ruth. It is Bill Fricker here in Edmonton, and I have had the pleasure over the past few weeks of talking with Mayor Taylor a couple of times about the opportunity of presenting today. I don't know whether Mayor Taylor recalls, but I joined him at a meeting of the Rural Alberta's Development Fund in July of 2008. Was quite impressed there by his enthusiasm and his energy, and I'm looking forward to the presentation this morning. Mayor Taylor did provide a copy of his PowerPoint slides. They have been circulated. I would hope that you have them locally, but also as the mayor presents, he's got a technical support with him, and they're going to toggle between camera and PowerPoint slide, so we'll get a chance to see both as they bounce back and forth through the presentation. Mayor Taylor, let me turn it over to you, sir, and welcome you to this video conference Alberta meeting.
Thank you very much for that very brief introduction, Bill. I'd like to begin by thanking you for this opportunity to address the group at the inaugural meeting here this morning of the Communities Without Boundaries Society. For all of you that said that you're alone, you're not. Actually, we're here with you today, connected through this wonderful technology, and we very much appreciate that. And just as we get going, if I can ask all of you that have not muted your microphones, if you would, that way when you're shuffling papers or writing, it won't pick up and move the camera around or put it on you. And I appreciate you doing that for us. I've been asked to present for about 20 minutes. For me, that's a challenge, so I'm going to rush through it as best I can. But a little bit of introduction about myself. First off, while I am the mayor of the town of Hinton, I'm also a director on Rural Alberta's Development Fund, so we've had a little bit of influence in financing some of these organizations to get up and running and get connected. I'm also the Vice President on the Alberta Urban Municipalities Association, Director for Towns in Alberta, and Chair of the Grand Alberta Economic Region. So that just gives you a little bit of insight as to who I am and a bit of the experience that I bring to the forum this morning. Being asked to present on Hinton as a community without boundaries actually got me quite excited when I was talking to Bill. Because certainly the town of Hinton has been a community that's benefited from broadband technology from very early on. We've been an early adapter, and our plans for the future include a close relationship with the new technology, as well as developing a better understanding of how we can collaborate using that technology. And through this morning's presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about Hinton's experience, and we're going to talk a little bit about what the future is, and hopefully you'll glean some nuggets of information that you can apply back home. Before I begin into the formal part of my presentation, I would like to recognize and thank Hetty Wilderdyke, our librarian, our head librarian that's sitting here with me this morning. Hetty has been a leader in our community in engaging the youth and the seniors through using the library and ensuring that the library is connected both through our schools and our community and to our citizens. And I'll talk a little bit about that during my presentation as well. But first off, it's important to understand that we had no idea in Hinton where we were going when we first got engaged in broadband technology. We committed early on to broadband technology without fully understanding what our future looks like. And I would suggest that most people that get engaged in forward thinking really don't understand where their future is and what it could be. And the question becomes, if you don't know, do you try and control it? And if you're trying to control it, why? We had a strong belief that our citizens and their ability to adapt, or at least not stop us from moving forward. When we committed to broadband technology in Hinton, we ultimately believed that our future would become realized through engaging our citizens and through allowing our citizens the tools and the support that they needed to move forward. And in the end, we didn't really know what the end product would be, and we didn't really understand how it could all turn out. But one thing we've learned from our experience is that it's important that you don't limit people or a community or their ability to adopt, adapt, co-opt, embrace, and grow. The community will figure their future. What they're looking for generally in our experience is leadership that understands their needs and is willing to listen, engage, and get the heck out of the way once the community becomes involved. Too often, we get caught up in our idea of what the end will look like, and really, it's about putting the opportunity in play and then getting out of the way. Guy Kawasaki, the formerly of Apple Computer Incorporated, and now he's the CEO of Garage.com, espouses a theory that you need to let 1,000 flowers bloom. That people will adopt your technology and foundational plan and then adapt it to meet their own needs, while often refining it along the way. Ultimately, using it for something that you never envisioned. This theory of letting 1,000 flowers bloom is what's gotten Hinton so far along in our path to becoming a city and becoming what I believe to be an extremely well-connected rural community. And it's okay to let other people adopt your ideas. It's okay to let other people adapt your technology and utilize it for their own means, whether that's in business, whether that's in schools, healthcare, hospital, libraries, or homes. All of these folks will find their own ways to engage, and in our experience, all of these folks will find their own ways to adapt the technology. Leadership's position in all of this technological change is really about breaking down barriers. An early lesson for Hinton as we moved into our broadband age is that people will resist change. And certainly I'm sure many of you out there have had that experience being on the cutting edge of broadband technology, or even just having an interest in figuring out what that technology could be. Breaking down barriers is really about leadership having the will to go places that people might not fully understand they're ready to go yet, or a will to go where we believe they need to go in order to embrace our future. Which means that you have to have a vision for the future. And when you're building your vision, Hinton has learned that you have to use an open and inclusive process. Hinton's vision was a connected city. We believed that we could use technology to our advantage. Hinton understood early on that while we didn't know that what we wanted ultimately to be was called a connected community, we didn't even know what that terminology was actually at the time. What we did know is that a community can design its own future. A community that gets engaged and active and is embracing the opportunity for a future that maybe looks a little bit different than the one right now, will get involved with the process. And we didn't really understand what it was going to look like when we were done. We just understood that our future involved being connected. Connected with each other, connected with other like-minded individuals across the province, connected with other levels of government, and connected with our families, possibly through the use of technology. And we knew that we had to have the ability for businesses, schools, healthcare providers, and citizens to connect to the internet and connect to the world from a rural, remote community in such a way that the world becomes available to our citizens. And I would suggest that we're well along the path to being a connected community, and I'll outline that a little bit more as slides. Our reality here in Hinton is really one of lifestyle choices. The slide that you're looking at right now is a lake about 5 kilometers from Hinton, one that I and my family often go fishing at. My father-in-law and myself actually go camping at quite regularly. This is the reason that most people choose to live in Hinton. The question we asked ourselves is, if you could choose to live anywhere in the world, why wouldn't they choose Hinton if they knew what Hinton had to offer? And why wouldn't they choose to live in a community that can connect them to the world they come from, to live in the place that they want to be? What would stop them from locating in our town? And we recognize that people didn't necessarily choose to live in Hinton because it's accessible to the world. One of the challenges we had early on is that people chose to live in Hinton because it disconnected them from the world. Living in the mountains and being part of a mountain community offers opportunities for some to escape, but it also encourages people to be innovative, artistic, culturally engaged, or conversely, it allows people to disconnect from the world, stay within their homes, and follow their own paths in life. And all of that's okay. All of that works for a community to be complete. And often we had to recognize early on that not everyone wanted to share our vision for the future. And not everyone wanted the world intruding on us. And that's okay too. Because many of our citizens that have lived in Hinton for many, many years had their own vision of the future. They had their own vision of the community. And it didn't involve bringing the outside world here. So part of our challenge was finding